With our last story of the day, I just want to give a brief update here on what's going on with the Russian Nord Stream pipelines. If you haven't heard, there's a massive leak. I think this is the 4th leak that's taken place, but basically somebody, in a nutshell, blew up the thing. And if you've been listening to Dan Bongino, he's been covering this really, really well. There's a few other outlets that are doing a good job too. Basically, it's sabotage. Somebody did this, and a lot of people think it's only a few list of countries that could have done this, and a lot of people are saying it's, either Russia, it's, England, or it's ultimately the United States, just because of the technology and basically the optics, as well as kind of the spyware that you have to go into doing this type of operation. Just isn't like you're going down throwing a firecracker on this thing. I mean, it's 300 feet in the ground, and you're looking at multiple feet of basically steel to break this thing. And you're telling me nobody got this on surveillance? Nobody knew anybody was in the area? So there's a lot of weird stuff going on with this, and they're calling it sabotage. And you have Brett Meyer having John Kirby, the National Security Council coordinator, on the show, basically saying, like, we had nothing to do with it. So we'll get to that in a moment, but let's kind of backtrack just a little bit. With a top U.S. official stated categorically in an interview, with the Brett Meyer interview, Tuesday evening, the United States was not behind the attack on 2 Russian pipelines last month. I don't know. I don't know if it was the U.S. I would like to hope that it wasn't the U.S. I'm not so sure it was Russia, because I don't know why Russia would do that to their own pipeline. And people say, oh, it's for power and stuff like that. But it was their pipeline. They already have the power. So it's a very odd situation. Some people are saying it's Poland with the help of U.S. intelligence. Who knows what's going on with this? It's really scary, because you never know what Russia's going to do as a retaliation to this if it truly wasn't them. The interview comes after 3 lines in Russia's Nord Stream natural gas pipeline saw unprecedented damage last Monday, after the CIA had recently warned that someone might try to sabotage the pipeline amid Russian Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. It is a little weird to me that the CIA would get ahead of this. Maybe they had some sort of intel to kind of talk about this, that somebody has the potential of doing it, without actually saying that, hey, we got intel that somebody's going to do it, and they just worded it that way. I want to know what you guys think about all this in the comments, because I really, honest to God, I don't know. And I've tried to listen to anything and everything I can. I don't know who's behind it. It wouldn't surprise me if the U.S. was behind this in terms of at least getting some intel and helping somebody with the technology they needed to pull this off. I'm not too sure here on if it was us or not, but John Kirby honestly gives a very clean answer in a way, in terms of just answering it straight up. Sometimes people ask you a question and they'll dance around the question without actually answering the question of which was asked to them. We see that all the time with Karine Jean-Pierre. He doesn't do this here. He just gives a straight Blake answer, which was a good answer and a clear one. So that's kind of what throwing me off. He's not really getting that political answer that I'd expect him to give, that it's not us. So we'll get into that in a moment. Let's go ahead and roll it here.
To another part of the world and the investigation into this Nord Stream pipeline attack. Did the U.S. or a proxy for the U.S. have anything to do with the explosion on the Nord Stream pipeline?
The United States had nothing to do with it. That's just Russian propaganda and disinformation. Now we know.
I want to pause it there, and I promise we'll continue. That statement there, that's what's throwing me off, is that he's not giving a political answer. That he's not giving a long, drawn-out, stonewall answer here that we're so used to from politicians to national security advisors, National Security Council, defense officials, all that stuff give normally. So that's why I'm really kind of inclined to think like it wasn't us. But also, when he throws in the Russian disinformation there, that also throws me off, because look, they said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. It turned out to be real. So I don't know which way to go here. I can't read this one. Again, help me out in the comments below on what you guys think. Not just conspiracy theories, folks. Give me some, hey, this is what I heard, this is what I think, and connect the dots for me. Help me out here. Let's continue.
It was an act of sabotage, but there's an investigation going on right now. I don't think we're going to get into credentialing that in terms of who was responsible. We're going to let the investigators take a look at that, but clearly this was an act of sabotage.
All right, here's the Secretary of State. This is why it has churned up all kinds of questions. Take a listen.
It's a tremendous opportunity to once and for all remove the dependence on Russian energy, and thus to take away from Vladimir Putin the weaponization of energy as a means of advancing his imperial designs. That's very significant, and that offers tremendous strategic opportunity for the years to come.
talking about strategic opportunity about this moment. So you can officially say that the U.S. was not involved in any way in this attack.
That's right. That's correct. Now, what?
Again, he's given another clear answer. And the way Brett asked him this question was great because, again, a lot of people are saying if it wasn't us that literally did it ourselves, that we supplied some sort of information or intelligence or technology to the country that pulled this off. Some people are saying it's Poland for their advantage of this. I find it hard to believe that it would be the Russians. And I believe Brett kind of brings up the same point I did here in a moment.
What we are trying to do is try to limit Mr. Putin's ability to garner revenue through the sale of oil, which is why we pushed so hard with the G7 back in the early summer on trying to get a price cap in place. You saw today, European Union leaders are now that much closer to working out some implementation details on that price cap. We think that that will help, while it'll keep Russian oil on the market, because it is a global market and supply, we want supply to meet demand, but we don't want Putin to be able to profit off it to continue to prosecute this war. So that price cap move, that's another effort in line with what Secretary Blinken was talking about.
Not to belabor this, but for the people who look at this and say, why would Russia attack its own pipeline that creates leverage over Europe and perhaps the West, what do you say to them?
Again, I can't speak to specific accountability for this act of sabotage. I can just assure you the United States had nothing to do with it. Of course, that's just Russian propaganda. And look, again, without crediting it to anybody right now, what I would say is just look at what Russia has done in the past since the last 7 months of this war when it began, and that is to weaponize energy. He's been absolutely trying to weaponize energy to try to punish customers in Europe, countries in Europe, our allies and partners, to try to coerce them into not being willing to support Ukraine the way they have been. So he's the one weaponizing energy. That's part and parcel of his playbook, Brett.
But John, wouldn't weaponizing energy mean controlling the pipipeline?
He does control the pipeline,
but not if he blew it up.
Again, Brett, I'm not attributing this to any one actor right now. I'm saying we have every reason to believe that this was an act of sabotage, but we haven't settled on who's exactly responsible. All I can say is going back over 7 months. Again, let's take the Nord Stream.
Okay, we're gonna end it there because you see where my confusion comes from. He's giving very clear answers, but then he gives a cockamamie reason as to why it would be the Russians that did it. But as Brett pointed out, what power do you have when you already had the power in the first place by having the Nord Stream pipeline and you being in command of it? So why would you shoot yourself in the foot? What are you to gain from it when you already had all the power in the first place? It's not like you're gaining more power by sabotaging and shooting yourself in the foot. You're hurting yourself. So it's odd. And I don't know, look, the government's lied to us before. All right, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, but our own government has lied to us many of times. Joe Biden does it every week. Joe Biden did it on the campaign trail. He's done it being president. Karine Jean-Pierre literally gets up there on every day on the podium and lies to us. We cover it all the time. For the avid viewers of the Bald Brad Show, you see it. They're natural liars. So who the hell knows who to believe here? Who knows? Let me know who you think it is. Is it Poland? Is it UK? Is it the United States? Is it Russia? Who the hell did this? Again, you can only get certain countries here because not everybody has the capabilities. The vast majority of the countries, the vast majority, you're talking like a handful, like maybe 5 countries, have the capability of having the intelligence. And basically, if you eliminate Russia, you're only talking about maybe 4, 5 tops other countries that could do this with the help of somebody like us, with the given the intelligence and technology. I don't know, folks. This is a story that I can't wait to unravel and figure out who the hell did this. And look, if they're going to say it's not us, you can't just be like, well, it's not us. All right, it's them. Those guys did it. Let's get some satellite imagery. We know we have to have that. Give us some actual concrete intel of who did it. To just be like, well, we got nothing. I don't know, folks. I don't know if I believe that. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.